her in 4th place. But the men's 1500 metres, it is rather the second division of men's 1500 metre runners, because the top boys, of course, are in the Dream Mile later on. Pole vault competition, Pat Manson.
Pat Manson, just one of a horde of American pole vaulters on the US circuit here. And good vaulting from Manson there. He's not amongst the top 2 or 3 in the USA. But of course, American pole vaulting amongst the very best in the world, along with Soviet vaulting. And a lot of these lads, they don't get paid much money for competing these meets in. They might get a few travelling expenses, but I've known them to carry their poles all around Europe just on trains and buses and coaches, and I don't know if they've actually resorted to hitching, but they certainly perform on a very low budget. A lot of these athletes don't believe for 1 minute that they all get paid tens of thousands of dollars.
They certainly don't these days with the recession on. The promoters are getting quite tough. In fact, 50 athletes were thrown out of this meeting last night because they didn't meet the standards. Here's the 1500 metre lineup. Mogens Goldberg, good class Dane, going there, number 51. He might be one to watch in this. Simon Fairbrother at the bottom, UK champion. Antonio McKay, that's an interesting one they've got there for Kevin McKay of Great Britain. Antonio McKay is an American 400 metre runner. Tony Morell, who will be looking to get into the World Championship team later on. It's a very crowded field, a lot of runners here, too many, quite honestly. And there they all are. 3 3/4 laps of the track. That's Tony Morell, number 108, who's coached these days by Tommy Boyle, the mastermind behind Tom McKean and Yvonne Murray, both European champions.
Very big field this, yes. Tommy Boyle, of course, has only taken over Tony Morell last winter. It remains to be seen whether he can have the same successes with him as he did with Yvonne Murray and Tom McKean. Goldberg there, very useful athlete from Denmark, 27-year-old, perhaps one of the favourites for this race. He was only 12th in the European Championships last summer, but he ran 3:35 last year and was 7th in Stockholm just last week in 3:36.11. So Goldberg in great form. And this race, very much the sort of B race of this meeting, for the Golden Mile being the A race later in the evening. A lot of these athletes, very, very good runners in their own right, perhaps 3:52, 3:53 milers, or men who have performed in the mid-3:30s at 1,500 metres. But that really just isn't good enough nowadays. Times that not too many years ago would have put them in the top 4 or 5 in the world, or even got them world records. Just aren't good enough to get them in the A race now. And this race, very, very competitive. And the bends here at Oslo, very tight, and the straight's very long, so watch for a lot of pushing as they go into this first bend and sort themselves out.
Real scrimmaging going on. On the inside there was Mogens Goldberg, number 51, but the man who's got the job of putting on the pace here, if the script is to be obeyed, is Ricardo Secura from Brazil. Whether the others follow that pace, of course, is quite another story. He's been asked to go through, we understand, 1,200 metres in 2 minutes 53. Goldberg is leading the chasing pack. It really is very, very crowded, too crowded, quite honestly, and you're asking for accidents with it like that. Never mind. Secura leads, 64, quite well up there is Angel Fariñas from Spain. But Goldberg's got himself out of trouble there in 2nd place, and he would be one of the form horses here, though it's a pretty open and competitive race, Tim.
Very competitive, and yes, and impossible to tell how it's going to mature at this race. But the rabbit there, Will Secura, perhaps showing his inexperience, going out in 55.67. Look for 400 metres, much too fast for this field. And in actual fact, the front of the pack there probably gone through in about 57.5, which is very, very respectable, sensible pace for this sort of race. So Secura rather surplus to requirement at the moment, and it certainly wouldn't do him any harm to take a look round, see what's going on. He's got a 10-12 metre lead on the rest of the field, ease up a bit and actually help the lead runners. I mean, here's the Goldberg, number 51, the Danish athlete, doing all the work.
Fariñas in 2nd place. Tony Morell has come up there on the outside. He's got himself in a nice position, out of trouble, not boxed in or anything. In the luminous green strip, the Spaniards are quite prominent there. Rojas, Fariñas in their familiar kit. Kevin McKay back in the middle of the field at the moment, the other British athlete, as Secura goes through. Coming up now towards the 800 metre point of the race, and Secura really has been a complete waste of space out there. You don't need pacemakers like that, because it's just the others are just taking no notice. 1 minute 56.78 at 800 metres.
Well, they've slowed down a fair old bit in. Sakura there must have run about a lap of almost 61 seconds. And as you say, a complete waste of time for him. The pack have slowed down a lot too. They've probably gone through in about 1:57.5, 1:58, which is slow. And it's going to be a bit of a burn-up over this last 600 metres here.
And there's a faller. I've said that this has happened and somebody's gone down. It's impossible to see exactly who it is from there, but there was a fall and somebody's chance went because there are just too many runners. And it's Tony Morrell who's gone down, the British athlete. Now, that's happened before with him. He's been involved in pile-ups on the track. But Morrell comes down and he looks injured as well. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. Sakura goes through the bell. He's beginning to tie up. They're going to swallow him up now.
Well, Sakura showing all the inexperience of a rabbit. That's why the good rabbits are paid so much to do a good job. Look at him. He won't get out of the way. He should get off the track. He's being pushed there, barged by the athletes. At last, he gets out of the way at 1200. 2:55. The race has slowed down, and it's going to be a big burn-up over this last lap now. 2:55. Well, they'll be covering this last lap in about 54, 53 seconds in, I should think.
It's Benito who has the lead, the Spaniard. They've been running well here, and it's a handy lead he's got too, with 200 metres to go, and they may not pull this back. He kicks on for home now. Has anyone got it in the legs to challenge? I don't think so. So this Spaniard here going for a big win, 3:35 of his best. Chasing in there in second place is number 232. That is El Basir of Morocco. Benito, though, he's beginning to come to the end of his tether here, and it looks like Al Basir may get to him here. Close between the Spaniard and the Moroccan, and at the line, the Moroccan gets it with Benito there. Just went too soon, and Goldberg got into third place in the end, 3:36.57. You could have almost predicted that time beforehand, just outside the real top level of world 1500 metre running. But Rashid Al Basir is the winner of that 1500 metres, and it was a race really which was unsatisfactory from several points of view. The pacemaking was naive and inadequate, quite honestly, and then the drama of the injury with the fall, and it was responsible and could be blamed on the fact that there were too many runners, of Tony Morrell, the British athlete. Now that could ruin his season. Rashid Al Basir getting home in the last 10 metres ahead of Benito of Spain.
Yes, a well-judged race by Basir there, a very mature race. Basir only 22, and that's a personal best for him by almost a second. Here you see Benito just couldn't respond in those last 30 metres. But you know, in going back to that falling incident, I really believe that these races ought to be cut down in size. I know a lot of athletes want to run these races. They want to produce, they need opportunities, these young athletes like this, to produce their very best. And Basir there certainly capitalising on his opportunity. But Tony Morrell there is a faller, and a result of that fall, a result really of this overcrowded field. 19 people in the race. Far too many, really 12, 14 would be ample, and that is a direct result of far too big a pack going around those tight bends here at Oslo.
He really is a luckless athlete, Tony Morrell. He's had his problems in the past, yet to really hit it big when he's been picked for major championships, and he would have been very hopeful of being picked probably behind Peter Elliott and Steve Cram for Britain's team for the World Championships at 1500 metres, and his chance may well have gone with that injury.
Well, he looks very badly hurt, actually. I feel sorry for Tony there. He's had a very good, solid winter. He's kept quite low profile and just getting himself into good shape. He ran 3:37 at Helsinki last week. And Tony looks in an awful lot of pain. I think he's damaged that knee quite badly.
Well, it's one drama upon another at this meeting. It always is, every time. And now, next up is